been a while now. 2018, 2019 is when I started, and I was so depressed. Not life. This is not how I want to be. And I was literally couldn't afford to like live wearing the same suit every day. Taking a while. It's not like an overnight success. I remember speaking to you. So
what was it that you disliked the most about that environment, if I could say that?
And I was like, right, this is not how life should be. You hate the job as well.
You kind of paint this picture out to your friends where you're lying to them and saying, yeah, I'm working, I'm doing all these things. But in reality, you're just dossing around at home, not doing much.
This is the Grappling Growth.
We're all grappling with something. Each and every entrepreneur, business owner, and leader experiences growing pains, no matter where they are on their business journey. On Grappling Growth, we discuss the challenges we consistently face in striving for more, sharing strategies, ideas, and thoughts on how to grapple with growth. We're building a platform where you can join us sharing your challenges and successes alike, whilst growing. So, you coming along?
Back to episode 19 of the Grappling Growth podcast with me, Joe Testouri, my co-host, Erald Krasniqi. And today, we're joined by not only a guest, but a good friend of mine, Harry Hayward, the founder of Hayward Media, a marketing agency. Now, Harry and we connected back in the end of 2020. And since then, we probably jumped on about 2 calls a week. We've toned it down a little bit now because we've got a bit busy and we make a bit more money than before, and probably jump on calls twice a month, which works quite nice. There's a good cadence. But what's really cool about Harry and Erald and how this actual concept of this podcast came together is it was super organic, and it came down to just the challenges that we'd see day to day within our businesses, and that the gap we were looking for was the gap that we wanted to make a podcast that was real, it was organic, and it shared the actual trials and tribulations of not just agency owners, but business owners and the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. But less of that. Harry, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
What's good, mate? Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, be on the podcast and chat to you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
So I remember when I told you about the podcast, and I fleetingly said to you, you can be one of our guests. And you said, yeah, absolutely. And we were just teeing everything up. And now, before the magic 20 number, which Erald is infatuated with, we have got you on. So hopefully this is the catalyst for hitting that 1% club and absolutely flying. But I guess kind of going into everything, just so the viewers have a bit of a backdrop into what you've done and how you've started. Because I think you've taken a very similar approach to Erald and myself. Could you just give people a little, I guess, elevator pitch as to what you did before, how you started your agency, what inspired you as well? I think that's really important.
Yeah. So we started agency around the same time, didn't we? I think you were in it a little bit longer, maybe, than me. I think
I was fucking around though.
Yeah, I've been back in. Yeah, same. Like back in it's been a while now. 2018, 2019 is when I started doing this. I had a corporate job in finance in the city of London, and I was so depressed. Finished uni, got a degree in accounting, thought I'd become an accountant, and I was like, right, when I get to London, I'm going to be on loads of money, and my life's going to be sorted. I'm going to be a broker or some kind of something. And I got into the city, got a good job in like broking, worked for a big company, and I was literally made no money. And I was like, this is not life. This is not how I want to be. And I was literally couldn't afford to like live wearing the same suit every day. I got a mortgage, and I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. So I was in a state of fear, and I'd be stuck here forever. And if I don't make a change, I'm going to be screwed. So I literally did what everyone else does, Googles how to make money online, and then that was it, blown away. I found a couple videos, started a few projects before this, did like Amazon FBA. There's one guy called Johnny Bradley who I followed. He is the reason I got into this space. And then that failed, and then I started running ads to loads of things. I started running Amazon. I did Amazon FBA, started getting sales, and I was like, how do I get more sales? So I started running ads to that Amazon store. I realized there's actually a bit of a thing here, and that's when I got into SMMA. Obviously followed a few gurus online, bought a few courses, and then that was it. Once I made a little bit of money online, I was hooked. And then I remember when I worked in finance, I was in the city, in an office. I was doing like cold calls and doing sales calls whilst I was at work, doing everything I can to get out of it. But once I kind of got a bit of stride, got a client under my belt, and actually understood how to, do marketing, that was it. Quit my job just before COVID, when everything went to hell. And then it was actually the best thing that could have happened to me, because obviously everyone started working from home. Zooms were a thing. Like, everyone knew what a Zoom call was, so I could sell online. And then that was it. It was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. So I officially quit my job in 2020. And then I've been trying to scale an agency since then. I've tried loads of different niches, e-com, lead gen, everything in between. Just constantly making fading forwards, I guess. And then that's it. And then now we're here, 2024, and I'm on a podcast speaking to you.
But, and in your office as well.
Yeah, in an office. Got a team member in an office, and yeah, it's been good. Yeah, this has been a really good year. This year's good. Last year was really good. But yeah, I'm just very heavy on scaling as much as I can now. But yeah, it's taken a while. It's not like an overnight success. I remember speaking to you. So when the reason we connected is because I saw a video of you online, and I messaged you like, yes, because you sounded like you're from London, so I was like, you sound like you're from London, so I messaged you. I was like,
London massive.
I was like, yes, Joe, nice to meet you. And then that was it. We were hooked. But like, this was years ago, and I was like so like a sponge, trying to absorb everything, understand what the hell this online space was. I came from a background in accounting, back end, no sales, nothing. I didn't know what marketing was, didn't know what a lead was, didn't know what cold meant, warm, top of funnel, any of this stuff. And then to learn from like the ground up. And I'm quite a slow learner. So when you see people online that have made like 10K in like 90 days or 10K in 30 days, it took me a bit longer. But I mean, long-term wise, it's definitely like, I think I've survived more than most people. But yeah, that's been it really. And I've been loving it ever since. And yeah, Incredible. It's been going well. Yeah.
Just to go back on the job, Harry, because I think that kind of sounds similar to Joe's story. What was it that you disliked the most about that environment, if I could say that, or what like was pivotal to you being like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here?
I think all of us are sold when we're young to go to uni, and because no one knows what. Because when you're young, you don't know what you want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then you get to a point when you're 16, 17, you have to make a decision what you want to do for the next 30 years of your life. And I didn't do that well in school. All I was really good at was making friends and like just going out and having a good time. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I thought, all I want to do is I want to make money or have a good job. And I couldn't be a doctor, I couldn't be a lawyer. So I was like, right, I go into finance. And then once you got there, you kind of sold on a dream. And once you finish uni, you're going to get a good job. You're going to make X, Y, Z, and you're going to basically have a good life. And then once you kind of come out of that kind of smoke screen and realize everyone's got a degree, everyone's got in the same position as you, and know you're not special, and actually you're not on that much money, it becomes realization that this is not the life where you want. So I wasn't watching any like Iman Gadzis when I was like 12 years old, and now when I'm 20, I'm like this crazy entrepreneur. I went to uni, got a job, got a mortgage. I did the typical like civilian route of like just having like a normal life. But then when I realized that I couldn't afford to even get on the train to go to work because it's so expensive, and I was like, right, this is not how life should be, then I had to make a quick decision. And also, when you have to make a decision on something you want to be when you're young, so like I wanted to become an accountant, right? I've not got an accounting bone in my body, but for some reason I chose it because I knew it would be a good path. And actually I realized this wasn't for me. I'm not an introvert, I'm not an extrovert, but I'm not, I think you have a certain character type to be in that industry. And I actually realized that marketing, sales, and this kind of industry was way better for me. So once I got into it, it became a project to get out of my state, but also I loved it as well. So the good thing about this industry is I actually love what I do. So that it's just like it ticked all the boxes. So when I was in a job you don't like, so you're in a 9 to 5, you don't make that much money, you kind of broke. Also, you hate the job as well. I was in a big state of fear and pain. Like I had to get out, and that was my biggest driver. So I just did every waking minute I could just to get out of that. And I I definitely am an advocate of that. Like a lot of people I speak to have a job and don't like it, and I was definitely in that state for years. And I think what my problem was is that I didn't take any action, or I didn't take enough action. So I was doing a lot of watching content online, like having to know everything before taking a leap. So like before I even spoke to Joe, I was probably watching loads of videos that Joe was on. Like before I spoke to Joe, I was probably still working. I still had a job. So I saw all these people succeeding, and I knew all the information, but I just didn't take the leap. And I was just in my head, I was like, you don't know enough yet. You don't know enough yet. You haven't got the right information. You haven't done enough to do it. And then not only until you start doing it, that's when you start actually like succeeding. I spent years just sitting there, just waiting to take the action. So yeah, I'm a big advocate on trying to get out of a certain situation that you're in, especially in the 9 to 5, if you're in a state of pain. So I relate to that very well. Just being in a certain position and trying to get out of it. But yeah, that's kind of where I was. And now, thank God, I'm not there anymore. I don't have to commute, don't have a job, don't have a manager, don't have a boss. So it's a nice feeling having to, when you have a job, obviously you're at a certain wage, and that's fine. If you're getting paid well, you're happy with that. But then if you're not, then you need to work out how can you make more money, or whatever. And what's good about what we can do is that we have no cap. We can make what we want. We can do what we want. So we're able to kind of like, the sky's the limit kind of thing, isn't it? Because the amount of effort you put in, you get out. Where if you've had a job, you put in a lot of effort, at the end of the day, you're still getting paid that same wage. So it's completely life-changing. And it's been good.
Harry, just as you've been speaking, I was kind of curious, and not to embarrass either of us here, but I found the messages that you sent me on Saturday. So it reads, 17th of June, 2020, you said, "Hey Joe, watched your interview with Jordan." Shout out to Jordan Platten. A couple of times, it really resonated with me. Hope to connect. I don't know why I sent you. It's a 25-second voice note. I don't want to embarrass myself too hard here. We don't know. That could be incriminating. And then you said, "Massively agree. I find so much value on hearing people's stories and outcome. Thank you. I might throw some stuff your way if that's okay. So hopefully it wasn't too bad." I'm kind of at that level where you were before with stagnation. Whereabouts are you from in London? And I know for a fact. So I jumped on Jordan's podcast, I think at the start of May 2020, and I remember the winter before, so the 2019-2020 winter, I was just such a lazy fucker. I would meet up with friends at the time, we'd go drinking around the park. I just wasn't doing anything that's pushing me towards the goals that you mentioned. And a lot of it is just you kind of paint this picture out to your friends where you're lying to them and saying, yeah, I'm working, I'm doing all these things. But in reality, you're just dossing around at home, not doing much, being quite lazy. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are criminal for that. And I think the issue that I have with the online space per se is that there's a lot of fakeness. And Harry, that's something you and I, we speak about at great lengths, where you've gone to masterminds or workshops for a weekend, and we won't name drop people, but there's some criminals out here where they'll organize masterminds, and you literally just have these kids flexing with cigars, rental cars, taking lifestyle pics, and they're just trying to be the next Imran Ghazi or Andrew Tate, and they're just so out of touch with reality. And I think a lot of this space is filled with people who are focused too much on the external and the ego, as opposed to real driving factors. So was there a moment for you when, just before you quit your job, that things just clicked? Because I know I had that moment where you just said, enough is enough, I have to leave this job. Or would you say it was a gradual shift?
No, so funny enough, the reason I quit my job is because I had a mortgage and I had a partner, and I was too scared to take the leap. And she was like, "Do it." She kind of encouraged me. All I would talk about is SMMA and like getting clients and doing this. And she was like, "Why don't you just do it for a year and give it a go?" I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll do it." And that was it. I think with her permission, I was able to let myself do it. I think before that I was too scared. So I was seeking validation outside. But when it was for her to say like, yeah, give it a go, just give it a go for a year, suddenly something switched in my brain. I was like, actually, I could give this a go. If it doesn't go well, I can just go back and become an accountant again. And that was kind of like realization that this job is like, I could get another accounting job like that. Like I can go on Indeed next day, find another job, but I can't take this risk again because at the moment we don't have a family, don't have a big house, like we, just starting out in life. So it was the perfect time to do it. And after I had that, she said that, I had a realization that as like the fear just went, and I was like, I've got to give this a go. And I remember like leaving, as soon as I handed in my notice, like the weight just left off my shoulders of this pressure. But then as soon as I left, they were like, there's this thing called COVID. And I was like, oh, what's that? And they were like, you'll find out. And I was like, packing my bags, leaving London. And I remember like the streets are crazy. Everyone was like running around going crazy, like it's a zombie like apocalypse. And it's like calling their like family and their loved ones, like, oh, we're gonna get home soon. Like there's this thing called COVID. I'm like, what? With my box and all my stuff in, like, what is this? And then 2 days later, everything shuts down. I'm like, oh my god.
Did you literally quit the week of or before COVID?
So before the apocalypse, literally, I remember like it was literally like an apocalypse. I remember leaving. I was in London. I left out with a box with all my stuff, and I left to go to get the train home, and the buses weren't running, so I had to walk, and everyone around me was like rushing home. And I was like, what is going on? There's this thing called COVID. And I was like, people on their phone like, yeah, I'll be home soon. Don't worry, I'll be home. I remember my sister, my mum ringing me, my dad, and my girlfriend saying, Harry, there's this thing called COVID. You should get your job back. And I was like, no, I've done it now. I've quit. I'm done. I was like, I've got to make this work. And I think that was like the pivot where I was like, I need to make this work. This has to work no matter what. And everything shut down. But it was actually a blessing in disguise. It was the best thing that could have happened. And literally within a month of me quitting my job, I made more money than I did in my job ever. And I was fine. Like, that was it. Another thing I did as well, I saved up a bit of cash, like a year's worth of cash to like buffer me. And that was my other thing why I didn't quit. I was like, right, being the accountant brain at the time, I was like, I need to save a certain amount of cash flow so I could live off. And if anything goes wrong, I've got enough money to save to cover the mortgage for the year. And as soon as I quit my job, I was like, all right, I'll be able to survive on this. And I've never spent that money ever. Never had to rely on that. So straight away I was able to, like gun to the head kind of thing where I had to make money. I was able to do it quite quickly. And prior 2 years to that, I was never able to close a client that well because I was quite, like you said, Joe, you was going out and wasn't really taking it too seriously. As soon as I didn't have any like burnt your bridges, I didn't have anything to fall back on. Literally, I was able to take action and sign straight away. But 2 years prior to that, I wasn't able to do anything. It just shows that like you just need to take huge action and things happen. And then, after that first 30 days, I was able to get a couple of clients under my belt and then just learn and grow. And then it's just all been a continuous learn from there, really. I'm still learning now, like always learning and trying to just get better and just improve everything I do. But yeah, that was a pivotal moment in life where that quitting the job, I think that was the biggest thing to ever do in my life. I think now everything else, like closing clients now at any level is easier than I did quitting your job. That took like 3 years of like mental, like convincing that I should do this. If I would have done it 2-3 years ago, I'll probably be in a better position now. I'll probably be at a high level. So like it is not taking action. That does cause, it can cause a big effect because, what would happen if I did it a couple of years ago? I could have been on in that interview with you, Joe, with Jordan at the time. But I bought Jordan Platton's course, right? When social media marketing school was a thing, Jordan Platton, 2017, 2018, he sold it for £250. I was like one of the first 10 people to buy that course. Now he sells it for like, God, no, thousands, right? I bought it years ago, but I didn't do anything about it because I just didn't take action. I was just too much of I was too scared. That was it. I think scarcity is massive. I've got a very scarcity mindset. I've still got it now, to be honest. I still struggle with it a lot. And like imposter syndrome, is that the one? Imposter syndrome. I still struggle with those. I think if you can crack them, you'll be like, if you've got that abundant mindset, I think you'll thrive well. But I think I always had them doubts. Like I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know I didn't know what marketing was. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And I've always used that as an excuse to like, I had to keep learning. So I was in that learning mindset, that shiny object syndrome. So massive proponent on just taking action now. That's the only thing. Now, this year, I've just all I've done is keep taking action. It's just pushed me so much forward than I have in the last 2 years. So like, it's just, you realize these things over time, and you hear it over and over on like YouTube videos and stuff, but just keep taking massive inaction. Just don't even think about it. And then the doors do open. And you lose a few people, but you gain a lot. So that's what I'm trying to push, trying to do that.
You've done so much in the time that we've been working with each other, and the thing that I like about the both of you is we've always had an open palm approach. Anything that anyone learns is just, there's no gatekeeping. And I always think the way how I see it is, you might have 100 competitors, so turning around and actually having 3 or 4 allies against those make things way easier and stronger. And I think the statistic is only 5% of people actually achieve their goals, and a lot of it just comes down to, and I don't remember the exact approach, but from a neuroscientific perspective, actually thinking about achieving goals or talking about them gives you the same effects as actually achieving them. So you saying to your friends, oh, I want to make 10k a month, or I'm going to quit my job, gives you the same chemical releases as actually doing that. And that's where a lot of people get into this state where they talk about what they want to do, but never actually do it. With that, my question to you is, except for quitting your job, since you've been running your business for 4 years properly, what are you most proud of?
The ability to not depend on anyone, and like the ability to know that like if things collapsed today, say if I lost everything, I'd have the ability to rebuild like that. I think that's what I'm proud of. Like back in the day, I couldn't do any of that, but now I'm like, I've got so much confidence in my ability to do anything in this industry, where I'm quite confident that I'll be able to rebuild things, or just, you know, start a business from scratch, or, you know, scale things up. I think that's what I'm proud of. It's just like the ability of who I was last few years ago to who I am now is completely different. Completely different person in terms of just like fear and just like what I can achieve. I think I was so pigeonholed in my ability of when you have a job, you just think, yeah, you're on this kind of salary, this is your life, this is what you can do. But now it's like, oh wow, actually I can do so much more, and I can achieve so much more. It's actually, it's not many people had that ability. Not just like people outside our industry, I don't think had that ability, or know they had that ability. And I think you see this in like, you see people online doing it and you think, why can't I do it? And now I'm like, actually, no, I am that person. I can do that. That's the thing I am proud of. Like knowing that I can, not just thinking now that I can do it or I want to do it.
What's your biggest achievement?
Biggest achievement? What, in business? Yeah. I don't know. I guess revenue, like the revenue goal now. I think this is last month was the best month I've done. And that is the best month I've done in the agency. I've done bigger months financially, but my biggest achievements now, just like with the clients I've got, where I'm at in my business, I think this is my biggest achievement. But like that's it really. I think there's no other achievement than like where you're doing financially in terms of your revenue. And obviously there's other achievements in like client results and who you are as a person, but I mean as a business, like now it's probably that. But yeah, it's just hitting another target, and then I think the next achievement would be having a good team to fulfill it, having amazing results, and to kind of step away and like delegate and like not having to be so in the part of the business. So my biggest achievement is like the financial side of it, but my biggest downfall at the moment, or what I'm not good at, is stepping away. I'm in the business constantly. I'm in the trenches still. Been doing it for 4 years now. You think I've had a bit of a system in place where I've got a good team, but I'm still in it. When I started doing this, you know, people in this space sell how to get clients. They don't teach you how to get results for clients. I bought every course under the sun, every big course out there. They'll teach you how to get clients, but they give you like a very basic overview on how to deliver results. And I always had this missing piece of the puzzle that was never answered. And their resolution was hire a media buyer, get that media buyer to deliver, and you step away and live this agency lifestyle. And that's what they sell you. But obviously, we all know that's not how it goes. You get a client, and then once you get a client, you need to work out how to deliver with a media buyer, without. You need to still deliver that result. And most of the time, you get a media buyer that they say they can deliver, but they can't. So my problem was I'd get clients, and then I'd just lose them. So I took it my own way to learn how to deliver myself. So I took a step back, and now I do all the delivery myself. I'm not a typical agency owner where I have an ads team to do it for me. I'm doing the ads. I'm doing everything. But now I've got the ability and confidence to jump on sales calls, sell, and know that I can deliver. And then when I deliver, I'm responsible and in control of that. And I can then actually predictably get good results. Where I've hired so many media buyers back in the day, and they were shit. I've hired expensive media buyers, cheap media buyers. They've all been the same. And I don't think I've had a good experience. So I really took it in house and just did it myself. Now I've got good results. I think that's another thing. What I'm proud of is knowing I can get results for clients. Now I'm teaching someone within my team internally on how to do it. And I think before that, I was reliant on media buyers and other outsourced to rely on my business. And I think that's sustainable when you don't have control or transparency on like your results. It's hard to maintain a business like that. So yeah, at the moment, there's loads of agency owners or courses that sell on that client aspect, which is fine, but there's no one out there that's actually shown how to deliver. There's a few people that did, and then I bought into them, and they were also disappointing. So the only way to really deliver is just to go for it, just do it yourself, and no one can teach that. So I really push on that, is to make sure the delivery's good.
Yeah. I think the good thing about what you do, Harry, from what I've seen, is you've really focused on a niche that you can master. I think what a lot of people do wrong is that they do everything somewhat okay. But if you do one niche exceptionally well, right, completely separates you from the rest. How much of the journey for you, like starting this agency to where you are now, has like changed as you've learned more, as you've spoken to people, as you've nailed the delivery in terms of the mechanics around it? So like your team, like the niche that you focus on, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I at the start, the last 3 years, I've been a broad agency, so I've not niched at all, and that was my biggest downfall. Not my biggest downfall, but that was the reason I couldn't scale. So I didn't have a team. I was doing all the ads. I wasn't niche, so I used my method of getting clients was Upwork. So that was the reason I was quite successful, because I would be able to get clients on there quite easy, and then I would just do the work. I would deliver the results. So I didn't rely on anyone. So I wasn't niche. I was very broad. I'd take on any work I could get, and then I pivoted into ecom, and then tried that. Got a bit of an ecom under my belt, and then found it very hard to scale whilst without bringing in a good team. So then I worked into lead gen as well. So I did both. But the thing is, I got really good at running ads that I could do both. But then I couldn't scale. I was stuck at a certain level, and I didn't want to scale in broad, because working with too many clients in different sectors, it's just a headache. So then it's actually then starting to figure out that where you see everywhere, like the niches in the riches, whatever it's called. But once I had that niche and found like a niche that's a sub niche that no one's ever heard of, and it became like a blue ocean, I think that's what really propelled me, and that's why I was able to succeed in my niche, because no one's really actually tapped into it as much. As you go into like dentists, gyms, chiropractors, the standards and the e-coms, they're all been hit so much, where if you find a niche that no one's really heard of or they've not really tapped into, there's still a lot of blue oceans out there. I think you should need to find them, and then find and capitalize on them. I think what I did, I found one. I didn't realize I found a blue ocean for about 2 years. And then I just started, I thought I'd run some ads for myself, because I run ads for clients. Let's try some ads for myself. I ran ads for myself, and suddenly that was it. It would just open the floodgates in leads. And now I've signed like 20 of these companies, and all from running ads. And I spend like £10-15 a day, and I'll get like 4 or 5 leads a day, and they're just constantly on sales calls. So it's just a niche that no one's ever heard of. And it's just like, if you can find something like that. And over time, when I back a few years ago, when I was using Upwork, didn't even think about that. That wasn't even where I was back then. But as you as you're in this space over time, you build up the confidence, you build up the skill sets, you realize there's different acquisition channels you can try. I'll try everything: cold email, cold DMs, voice notes, looms. I spent 3 months sending looms. It didn't work. Like, I've done everything you can think of. And then the main acquisition that worked for me was Upwork. That was when I was really like getting clients in. And then as soon as I started running ads, it's just been taken over. So I'll just do that now. And that's just been it. But that's you don't, I think at the start, you don't know this, and you learn over time, like what works for you and what doesn't. Some people do really well on cold email or do cold outbound. I've always been a cold outbound person. My business, I've never been inbound. I don't have a personal brand. I've never had a personal brand. I don't think I've got the confidence to push one, and I've always been cold. So I succeed in cold, but now I'm running ads. I can understand why it's so powerful, because less effort and it just comes to you. So now this year I've realized that maybe it might be worthwhile to do a kind of personal brand and get yourself out there, because it's just so, the last 3 years I've been trying to scale cold whilst being not broad. It's just been hard. So now if you're niche, have a bit of a personal brand, I know that's going to be how people are so successful. And we know it. Like, you see Jordans, you see Imans, you see your other people in the industry, they're all very niche. They've got a personal brand. It works well. So I think that's something I really want to push.
Yeah. I mean, it's the angle I'm really honing in on. I think brand and your personal brand is the biggest competitive advantage of this modern era per se. I think stuff such as every method works. You can find someone who has made a substantial amount of money using every method under the sun, whether it's SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, cold email, it doesn't matter. Someone has made a crap ton of money with that. Whereas I think if you want to charge supernormal profits, you want to increase your prices, and you want people to come to you, then building a brand and personal brand is the strongest way to go right now, because it focuses on leverages, people coming to you when they're ready, as opposed to you chasing people. And we know what the effects are of people coming to you versus you going to people. So yeah, I mean, we spoke last month, and I remember hearing your goals for this year and what you wanted to achieve. And I said to you, you sound like you're talking with clarity, or the most clarity you've ever spoken with. And you took that as a massive compliment. And it was, because I think you can hear in someone's voice when they're very razor sharp on what they want to do and where they want to get to. And I think there's two types of people in the world. There's people who know how to make an abundance of money, and people just don't have a clue where to start. And with my new program, the Bespoke Accelerator, where people are joining, and a lot of it is just speaking to a load of friends who are really, really smart people, but they don't even know where to go to make an extra £500 or £1,000 a month, when most of us could go out in a few weeks and just say, okay, let's put this service onto here or do this, and then straight away there. And I think for most people, it's just kind of getting to that 0 to 1 point and then moving on, as opposed to that the 1 to 10 is far easier. And you hear all of the analogies of investors saying that it's harder to make your first 100k than go from 100k to $1 million, because leverage. So on that, Harry, as our tradition on this podcast goes, we ask all of our guests a question which we take from the internet. So either ask fellow entrepreneurs or we go onto Reddit. And this fellow entrepreneur has said, I run a service-based business. How do you go about turning cold leads into clients from social media?
Good question. So that's the majority of what I do for our business, for my business and for my clients and for myself. So the main thing about getting leads is easy. Everyone can get leads now with Facebook ads and Google ads. It's set up so easy now that anyone can go on their phone or go on their laptop and set up an ad, and it's very easy to generate leads now. But the hard part, or what people don't know how to do, is convert those leads or get them to sign up or buy from you. And I think now with Facebook ads and media buying being so creative focused, it's really important to push on creative at the moment. So I will speak to companies all the time. They're running ads like, yeah, we get leads all the time. I'm like, cool. I'll look at their ad account and they got some crappy little ad. It's usually like a banner with loads of text, doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't work. And I can see straight away. But that's just the front end, right? And then once you get the front end, it's like, how do you do the back end? Like, once you get that lead, how does that process of that lead, the experience, the customer journey of that lead go from cold to warm? And people think as soon as they get a lead, that's it, they're going to buy from you. But actually, getting a lead is the easy bit. It's actually, once you get that lead, how does that experience from that lead, convince them to buy from you? So again, what we do, or what I do, is we send that lead a text, like a welcome text. We do an email. We ask questions. We basically want to get a lead to engage with you, trust you, and then ultimately buy from you. But before that, you got to do a lot of convincing. So with ads, with Facebook ads, because it's like direct response, you want to get people to straight away to know, trust you, and want to buy from you. So it's all about the creative. So when we run ads, or when I run ads for myself or for my clients, we do a lot of UGC now, which is massive. So you see TikTok creators or content creators online, they film themselves on the iPhone. Straight away, if you're seeing a video ad of someone talking about a product or service, and they're talking to you about it in like first person, like it's their review, like this their customer, like they bought from it, it's like social proof. It's like a sheep herd effect. People are going to want to like listen and probably buy from that, compared to if you see an ad online that says like, buy one, get one free, and it's just like a standard graphic. You're going to have convince a lot of people to click on that ad to buy. Where if you see a video of someone selling that product for you, it just changes the game so much more. So we focus on that. It's all about creative now. With Facebook ads, you don't need to be a media buying expert to run an ad. You've got to do is press play or press publish. And then all you got to do is focus on the creative. So we do that now. We do a lot of hard selling or hard building trust on the ad. And once we get that the conviction, once they come through, it's then delivering the back end stuff. So that lead comes through like a funnel, through a lead form. It's then going through like a customer journey with them, and you need to work out their customer journey, like what they like, what they're interested in, what their problems are, and how you're solving them. And before you even talk to them, they want to know, like, and trust you. So obviously, in our space, we use like Go High Level. So Joe, I remember when we started, we were both talking about it, like, this is going to be a game changer. Like, and we were obsessed with trying to crack it. So we spent I remember us back and forth, like, we got to get this working. But when you have something like that to work in the back end for you, and then it just makes delivery on turning people who don't know you to like you easier. But I remember back in the day, before Go High Level, before that, I was using Zapier to like Active Campaign, to like loads of different types of softwares, and it was so complex, yeah. And all just to get a lead to go from like don't know you to know you. Now it's like you can do it so easy, and people starting now have got it so easy. I'm like, back in the day, I had to like pay so much money to learn this stuff, and now it's just available like this. I'm like, God. So now we're obviously so obsessed. I'm so obsessed with using it and getting it done right. But you've got to make sure when you get a lead, you got to just get them to know, like, and trust you straight away, and having good touch points with them. And I see so many ad accounts. They get like just how people treat your lead or treat their traffic. It's like going on a date. It's like you can't expect them to, get with you on the first date. You got to charm them. And people don't realize that. Yeah, it depends. It depends. And it's just, I see it so many times. So you got to really just work on that. And if you don't have that in place, then it's going to be hard. And I do it now. Like the way I run ads, I don't have like these complex funnels. I literally run ads to a lead form, to a calendar page, and I jump on calls. People still don't know me or trust me, and it does cause a bit of friction there. So what I've been doing now, like, I've been adding email flows in my campaign. So before they jump on a call, they're seeing videos of me, testimonials. They're seeing texts from me. They're seeing before jumps on the call with me, they've got like 5 or 6 bits of information, assets from me. And now they're on the calls. The calls are a little bit more warmer. Yeah. Suddenly people are not so standoffish. They're like, actually, I've seen some of your videos. I've seen you work with this company and you did this result. And then suddenly the conversations are not so trying to sell them. It's more just like, okay, how can we work together? So you can pre-frame a lot with what you do if you have the right stuff. But again, when you're starting out and you don't know this, and you've got a client that doesn't have any like reviews or testimonials or backing, it is hard. So it's an iteration. You've got to work on it. But yeah, hopefully that answers it a little bit.
The moral of the story is, find a coach who can teach you this.
Work with Joe. basically. You're basically what you do. Your client acquisition stuff is basically that, how you get from cold to warm. It works so well. If you can do that for yourself, you can do it for clients, and you've got a winning product. But it's just having that ability to do it is the hard bit as well. Because to be honest, like, all you got to do is be one step ahead of your client, because I don't know everything, and we're not selling them on like the keys to the castle, but all you got to do is know more, a little bit more than your client. So when it comes to these points, you can solve them better than them. And like, there's companies I speak to, or people I speak to, that are a little bit ahead of me, but it's very simple in terms of what we do. It's just people don't have the knowledge on how to do it. So that's where we come in, and that's what we can try and solve. So
Nice.
Hopefully that answers it. I might have gone on a tangent then.
Yeah, I think
I answered it.
You gave people a lot of context into that and what they can look for. I think the biggest takeaway for me is creative is one of the most important elements now, and the classic direct response call to action adverts that people would have responded to before, because markets are getting so sophisticated and saturated, using more organic style content is what's working best. User generated content is what's resonating with people. And I mean, the age old adjective is that people buy from people. So that's really what's helping here. Erald, I know you come from the SEO world, and it's interesting because you're, with the greatest respect, not as switched on as, say, Harry and I when it comes down to ads. But what is it that you're looking for in ads, quite objectively, but with a marketing head?
And yeah, I've never run ads. It's one of the things that I proudly proclaim every time I talk to a client. I'm like, I know fuck all about ads. So that's what we've got experts like Harry and Joe for, really.
You built Google, didn't you?
I built Google, yeah. I did create Google, which is why I'm running a small 6-figure agency instead. But yeah, I think for ads, I get shot ads all the time. If you're, and I'm sure you two get it as well, if you like browse anything marketing, you get retargeted like to fuck about, all that stuff. But I think a really engaging thing is super direct value off the rip. As a consumer, as a marketing head looking at like marketing ads, it's like, all right, if someone's like, hey, do you want to learn how to make 10,000 a month? Click on the link below. I'm not going to click those links because I don't know what I'm actually in for. I don't know what the value is specifically. If I'm a consumer looking at a consumer ad, generally something, usually like the kind of reviews, something that feels like an organic video, like I'm not coming across an ad, generally engages me more. So, and I think I see that more and more where it's like influencers used to be like, oh, here, this product, I'm going to try it out in front of you, and they're giving their feedback on it. Yeah, those are the sorts of things I think seem to work quite well
with SEO, because ads is always changing, right? Like back in the day, UGC wasn't even a thing, and now it's like everyone's just a hot topic and everyone uses it. And what does SEO do? Like, is there anything changing, or has it always been the same? Obviously now AI, but like, is it anything new? I mean, is it anything that like you have to keep on top of? Because like, we've obviously got to keep on top of the latest thing. But I don't know. I'm not in the SEO space, but is there anything you got to like keep aware of, or is it just the same stuff?
Yeah. No, I think a lot of SEOs listening to this will probably be pissed off at you, Harry.
Really?
Assuming that it never changes. And it's just like, yeah, it was the same.
There's going to be a Reddit thread just out on him.
No, mate. SEO is like one of the biggest fuckers when it comes to things changing, because it changes all the time and we never have clear guidance as to why or what we need to do next. So, for example, a Google algorithm update, a couple have come out towards the latter part of 2023, which has decimated so many websites. Like, people's businesses, livelihoods have gone to absolute crap, and that's because Google changes the algorithm to favor actually things like forums. Reddit and Quora, for example, saw a massive rise. So when we're doing SEO, whether it's for e-com brands or service-based businesses or SaaS or whatever it is, the algorithms that govern what Google thinks is like high quality changes like on a daily basis. So you might see a client do really well one day and not so well the next, because Google decides that a keyword has a different intent this time, or actually that website doesn't fit the quality standards, the content, the backlinks, anything like that. So always changing. And I'm sure in ads it feels like it's more like the trends that change, the things that people engage with, more so than the mechanics. In SEO, it's all like always the mechanics that's changing, more or less.
Yeah, interesting.
So, I mean, I remember because Erald, you own a few of your own websites and they were doing really well and they just literally got blitzed. But what's the benefit from Google to doing that, to just shaking up the industry so quickly? What do you think that is from your personal experience?
Yeah, so even with my websites, I spent over 20 grand on my own niche sites, I guess you can call them. One was in mechanics, one was in diving, and the other one was about e-bikes, because I was like, all right, 3 really good niches. I think I can do really well with them. And the most expensive website, which was the car website, cost me 10 grand. And I remember it got hit really badly in week 2 of owning it. So like terrible timing. So the traffic went down, but we had a very good revenue source, which was a YouTube channel attached to it. So that kind of like floated it. If I was a brand that only had the website and the traffic associated to it, I would have been up shit's creek, 100%, no paddle. Like it would have been really bad, because the revenue was like half or almost a quarter what it was before the algorithm update. And the reason why these things happen, more or less, is Google is looking to serve the most relevant results to the end user, the most useful results, the most trustworthy results, right? Sometimes, because it's an algorithm, they don't always get that right. And they want people to stay on the SERP pages so that people end up going on and clicking your ads, like more for PPC, but like clicking those ads or spending time on these websites and then consuming the content, viewing AdSense ads, that sort of stuff. They change it just so they can get the best results basically to the user. There's no like methodology or reason why they would promote Quora more, apart from like we think the users are going to want this more.
Yeah, so it is quite complex, and I thought
yeah, it's it is. I'll probably do an episode on, because I don't think I've ever delved into the dynamics of SEO, but the good thing about it is that I hate this word synergy, but the synergies between like what Joe's team does, which is why like me and Joe work on so many clients, is that like everything that you drive in terms of like brand recognition and like the retargeting side all feeds into SEO and vice versa, do you know? So I think that's key, and a lot of brands should probably have a few pronged approach when they do marketing in that way.
Even like media buying now, when I run ads, we don't run any interest targeting. It's just broad. We put a lot of emphasis on the messaging because of SEO. So like TikTok is the same. If you type in like TikTok is like a search term now, it's massive. If you go on TikTok, you type in anything, the SEO keywords on that is insane. Same with Facebook ads though. Like I'll run ads on Facebook and write specific keywords within the ad and in the voice or whatever, and it will target those customers. And it's like the algorithm's quite mental. It knows that. So yeah, SEO is obviously important with what you do, but it also impacts what we do as well, because we essentially use it in the algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, I've obviously got an idea as to like where SEO is going, but for you, Harry, and I guess for you, Joe, as well, being in this side of the industry, where do you think it's going more or less? You mentioned like UGC and like supernatural looking adverts, but is that where you think that's going to like maintain like influencer led organic ad creatives?
I reckon it will switch back to like back in the day. You know, when it's like like AI with ChatGPT, it's like the market sophistication. Everyone's seeing it now. There's every software now that comes with AI, and it's such like a fad at the moment. And then everyone's starting to use it, think it's game changing, but actually they kind of they see it now. They're like, oh, bit shit. So like UGC, I reckon it will be overused. It'll be monopolized, and then people will get used to it. Then the sophistication level will be very used to it. They'll smell it that it's an ad, and then they'll go back to maybe like branded videos. AI videos will be like just normal graphics. I reckon it will do like a full circle. So I still think we're in the peak of like UGC, and it's still untapped, especially for like lead gen. No one really does it, but ecom, everyone does UGC. But soon I reckon it will like people. I go on TikTok now, and I'll still see. What people do on TikTok is, with TikTok, you can do organic. You can sell things on TikTok now, and you can do commission. So like there'll be people posting content on TikTok. Really, they're selling stuff, and they'll say something stupid like, "I can't believe this is only £1."
Oh yeah.
And then like suddenly I see the same thing. It's like these lion's mane supplements, and now my feed's getting done with Shilajit and lion's manes, and there's all these like just people just selling the same shit, and I'm just like, they're all just like doing the same thing, and it's just like you're aware of it now, so it's not unique. Like you can get 90 toilet rolls for 20 quid on TikTok. Like, I see it all the time. And I'm like, you get hit with that, and you're like, this is bored. Like, I'm bored of it. And now I'm getting a little bit like, I don't like going on TikTok now because I'm hit with these people selling fake stuff. So like, you'll get the same thing with the ads where people will still be doing UGC, and they'll get, I'm seeing this. This is like the trend now, and then I reckon it will revert back to something new, or it will go back to, how it was before. Maybe like just standard videos, or be like images, and we always test both. I'm always testing.
Yeah,
I think, and I know you're seeing some ads working really well, which is just really basic ads. But I've got a hunch, and I always think things come in waves, and I think the new wave started with Alex Hormozy, the end of summer 2021, when he released $100 million offers. Everyone was just going crazy on these offers, and I remember we had a really, really good stretch of business end of 2021, start 2022, because we were really. I remember I only knew one guy who read that book before me, and I'm a bit of a bookworm. And I remember mentioning it to you, Harry, Erald, and whoever. I said, you guys need to buy this book. But I think the next wave is going to come from documented content. So people might start running ads from, say, podcast snippets like these. And I think where people are going to go from is when you go to someone's profile, it's literally, you can tell that they've made an hour's worth of content. They've cut 50 pieces of content up from it, and they've started posting that. I think that's where a lot of that's going to come from, or day in the life based content. Or let's say, for example, you're promoting AG1, the superfoods, the supplements, stuff like that. If you're just trying to talk about here's what I eat in a day, and AG1 is this, I think actually documenting maybe a hybrid athlete starting their day with AG1, going through their day, talking slightly about their benefits. Yeah. It is user generated based, but I think there's a bit of a twist as opposed to it's. I think we know, especially us, Harry, we know when user generated content is scripted, and it just can't. I've been using this for so long, and you can hear someone's voice versus someone actually just saying, yeah, this is where I went from before and after. I think it's going to be more document based, and it's just going to feed in. It's going to feel like you're just listening to an episode of one of your favorite podcasts, or you've just come in and it just blends in easily, and then you realize, oh, that's an ad. I think right now what I'm seeing in certain spaces is real high effect videos where the background's changing and you're hearing sounds change. I always think things normally shift in a 12 to 18 month period, and I think that's what could be the next shift. And I think the sales cycle is going to become slightly longer, but there's going to be a stronger emphasis on brand.
100%.
Yeah. Have you seen that video? You know Sam Sulek on YouTube?
No.
Seen that guy? He's like massive. He's like, he drinks loads of like protein shakes. He's like really young. He's 20 years old, and he's like, he's absolutely huge. Like if you see him on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, he's everywhere. His content is he films himself for an hour, no edits, just like raw, talking to the camera, and he's blown up. Like it's crazy. And there's another guy on social media who films his everyday life, and it's like he works at a job 9 to 5, and he just films himself, and it's very like mundane stuff. I don't know the guy's name, but I see him all over the internet. But these content styles, like this Sam Sulek guy's gone nuts, and there's no edits, there's no fluff. It's not trying to. You can tell it's not selling. He's not selling. It's not, and there's no like overproduction. I think people are more favouring that, and you'll see this, like you said, about the documentary side of it, or document side of it, or podcast. People are favouring like that style of content. That's not. Yeah, it's authentic. That's exactly the word for it. So I think that's what people crave, and yeah, it's hard to get that across ads. But
I think on that point, what I've started to notice is, say this podcast here, I don't know, we've been running for about an hour, but when I think the best way to put it is, if you, and I don't watch it, but I used to, but if you look at Big Brother, now, Big Brother, when it comes on in the summer, I don't know how long it lasts for. Let's call it 2 months. You cannot bullshit people for 2 months. You see friendships being formed in the house or Love Island or wherever over the first week or so, and then eventually people show their true personalities. And I think that's what this type of content shows is on a smaller scale, if you take brands away, and this is why brands like Gymshark and AG1, they so heavily focus on influencers, because straight away there's brand alignment. If Andrew Huberman is promoting AG1, straight away for me, I would look to buy that product, because if he's endorsing that product, then I trust the product. If I trust him and I trust the product, equally the content is authentic and real, people are going to look at it. And I think, just to kind of bring it back to how you and I first connected, Harry, and this is what we spoke about, there was a lot of people who'd go on podcasts and they were just blagging bullshit people. But there was very few people just being real and saying, you know what, I was a lazy fucker. I wasn't doing stuff. And actually I had to pull my finger up my arse and actually start making stuff, because no one's going to come out here and just give me clients if I'm not doing the work. And I think that relatability is what really humanizes things. And I think those people will be more successful in the long run than the fly-by-night people who come along and they're just trying to get quick wins, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You've seen it with have you seen Brian Johnson? He just released, I called this ages ago. He just released his longevity
Product.
like vitamins and whatnot line, and he did 20 million ARR in day one, I think.
That's mad.
So yeah, and that was all like he did all the hard work before he released it, right? Because if he pushed AG1, same thing would happen with them. But he's like, do you know what? I just did it myself. I create my own line, and then he actually had to stop it at a certain point because he sold out, and he's like, he could have probably made 40, 50 million ARR on like day one of releasing a product like that, which goes to show like the influence of having that documentation that Joe's talking about in your content, doing that for ages, really honing it and becoming like an authority, and those are the sorts of results you'd see.
That's the thing, and the thing is, he didn't sell from the start, did he? He's like, is that like Gary Vaynerchuk, like jab, left hook, or whatever it's called, where it's like you just constantly posting content, and then he was like ready, build up an authority, and then bosh. I guess that's what a lot of people in our space that do YouTube, that's kind of how they promote their courses and stuff. They build up authority on YouTube, and then eventually they'll release something that IBUS does very well. That's kind of kind of what they do.
I think you build, I could call it the AAA approach: authority, authenticity, audience.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think I might have to add that into the program. Boys, I think we've had a fantastic conversation here. Harry, we're going to make a formal request to you. You can be our first ever second guest appearance on the pod.
Bosh. You want to like leave anyone with, Harry? Any messages, where people can find you? Anything you want to plug before we sign off?
If people want to work with you, buy the program, jump on a sales call with you so you can tell them what that niche is that you were talking about for 4997.
No, I've got no socials. Don't follow me. Don't reach out to me. I'm quiet. I'm in the back end. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm doing my own thing.
You're in the dungeon, mate.
Yeah, I'm in the trenches. No, I don't have any. So I don't have anything. I'm not selling anything. And I just if you want to learn how to get really good results and scale an agency, talk to Joe. Very valuable. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of information out there that people can learn. I literally learned everything by YouTube and buying a few courses. So I've got nothing to add value to. Everything I'll be able to sort of provide, you can just Google it or buy Joe's course. Either way, both very valuable.
Wow,
great plug.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Erald, if you sign out.
Yes, thank you for watching. Tune in next time. Check us out on all our socials if you like, and send us in your queries. Any sort of problems you're grappling with as a business, no pun intended. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. But for now, take care, and we'll see you very soon.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.